The way we communicate is changing every single day. 10 years ago, the cutting edge of internet speak was a colon next to a 3. 5 years ago, it was replacing P's with the B emoji. Today, I couldn't even tell you what the cutting edge of internet speak is without sounding like a dirty narc. Sometimes, though, change is scary. And there's one facet of our modern lexicon that doesn't really rub me the right way. Prescriptivism is the idea of holding up a standard of language as being objectively better than another, and I think I've spoken out enough about how that's a dumb thing for people to do. However, when it comes to things like emojis, I will put my inconsequential foot down. Emojis are most decidedly not a part of our written language. If anything, I'm being prepictivist. They say that pictures are worth 1,000 words, but what if 500 of them are the wrong ones? There is so much that design and aesthetics do with our brain, and if emojis are used as a condensed way of showing emotions, then one has to understand that it changes the meaning of the passage. One has to take into account a new range of authorial intent. Does the author normally use emojis? What in particular does this emoji mean to them? How does this emoji affect the subtext of the message? This issue is made more complicated by the fact that not all emojis look the same on all devices and services. Take, for instance, smiling face with open mouth emoji. All of these faces, most of us can agree, display happiness. But the question is, what kind of happiness? Perhaps to some of us, Samsung's looks hopeful. Apple's might look facetious. Google's might even look hostile. The subtle differences here, when combined with text messages, can change the perception of the message from whoever sent it. The differences become even more profound with the emojis that are, for lack of a better term, unusual. In his book Understanding Comics, Scott McCloud pointed to something he called abstraction, which is to do with how much someone relates to an image depending on how abstract it is in comparison to its real-world counterpart. To me, the illustrated nature of emojis just provides too much detail. What if I'm not smiling that hard? What if my cheeks aren't flushing? What if I'm not a tree? Emojis are not abstract enough. By assigning more complex visual patterns than we need to these emotions, we're simultaneously complicating this language and condensing it. And the solution to this is not to add more emojis, emojis of people playing golf, emojis of a hand with its two fingers slightly apart. The solution is something we've had for almost 150 years. Emoticons are a phenomenon made from combining various pre-existing punctuation marks, letters, and numbers in order to create simple faces or expressions. They can range from being small ones to huge, intricate images known as ASCII art. Emoticons and ASCII art are often found in old forums and Twitter posts, though they've largely been out-competed by the emoji to the point that regular expression replacers on Skype and Facebook Messenger will replace most simple emoticons if you type them. Emoticons first came about in a transcript of an 1862 speech by Abraham Lincoln, actually, though they weren't normalized until the 1980s when the format of online text became more ubiquitous. What's special about them, though, is how simple most of them are. The meaning can be slightly changed by adding a nose or changing the mouth or the eyes, but largely they're made out of lines with no color or added shape aside from the ones that already exist in our visual language. If we go back to Scott McCloud's diagram here, an emoticon fits right on the line between a drawing and literal text. The evolution of language is something I'm always going to support, and I know I'm on the wrong side of history here when I oppose emojis. Still, I think it's important for us to be mindful of how we speak. I am, by nature, a very nervous person, and giving me anything more to think about as I try to send messages will almost certainly result in my early death. To me, emoticons are cuter and easier, and maybe they remind me of certain friends who also use them. don't think I'll ever unironically use an emoji. Well, okay. Maybe one.